Meanwhile, Joe Biden already charting his agenda for the White House as President Trump insists it's not over, with his campaign pushing forward on their legal fight in several states.
Here with reaction, Fox News contributor and former senior advisor to President George W. Bush, Karl Rove. Karl, welcome back.
Morning.
All right, so where are we with this?
Well, we're getting to a sort of a compressed time frame. Things are starting to move rather rapidly. The president, this is the week where he's got to file these election challenges. He filed some last week. Most of them were dismissed. One of them, one significant one, was upheld, which was that observers in Pennsylvania, namely Philadelphia, were not being allowed to be within the legally required 6 feet of the count and were given an obstructed view. And judge said in this particular instance involving a specific center, that immediately had to be resolved. But this is the week where he's got to file these suits if he's going to file them, because we're now starting to run into official certifications. And once a state is officially certified, it gets a lot more difficulty to overturn that decision. And remember, it's already hard to do this. In the last 50 years, we've had 3 instances in which statewide elections have been overturned in a recount. And in those 3 instances, the difference was less than 500 votes separating the 2 candidates at the end of the unofficial account. And here we've got much larger differences. Arizona, 17,000 votes separate the 2 candidates, about 0.5%. Wisconsin, Biden is winning Wisconsin by a smaller number than Trump won it 4 years ago, 20,000 versus roughly 25, 0.62. Pennsylvania, winning it by about the same number of votes and a slightly smaller percentage than 4 years ago. Nevada, 35,000 votes, 2.6%. That gets to be really dicey. We've got Georgia with 10,300 votes separating the 2 candidates and some military and provisional ballots yet to be called. I wouldn't be surprised to see that number shrink a little bit. And because of that, there's 0.11% separating the 2. Under state law, this is already going to a recount. But if the president has evidence of systemic fraud, he's got to. This is the week to unveil it and to put it into the legal system.
When you hold up that whiteboard, you look at the numbers. I mean, this election was so close. Did you expect that?
Well, I got to tell you, the president's last burst was incredible. And think about it. I mean, we had in Wisconsin an NBC poll saying he was down by 17%, and he's down by less than a point. And the Real Clear Politics national average said that he was going to lose the popular vote by 7.2%, and he's about 3% behind today. Might get a little bit bigger because they're still, got all those mail-in ballots in California that they still got to count. But it was a remarkable achievement to come from behind as he did and to close it up. And I don't think anybody in America would have expected this election to have been this close. And with it, remember, the Republicans appear to hold the Senate. It's 50-48 with 2 runoffs in Florida, in Georgia. They increased the number of members in the House. I think we're going to end up with a 226, 227 to 209, 208 in the House, which is incredible. And this is really remarkable. In state legislatures, the Democrats were hoping to flip as many as a half a dozen states and more than almost a dozen chambers, and instead the Republicans gained the New Hampshire House, New Hampshire Senate, and the Alaska House, and kept everyone else, including the Democrats spent $30 or $40 million in a handful, maybe a dozen races in Texas to flip the Texas House, and the Republicans held the line. They didn't lose a single seat.
And they got Rio Grande Valley, and he get a Hispanic vote. This is what the president's legacy is. So talk about class. George W. Bush in a statement congratulated Joe Biden, but he also said this: I want to congratulate President Trump and his supporters on a hard-fought campaign. He earned the votes of more than 70 million Americans. It's an extraordinary political achievement. They have spoken, and their voices will continue to be heard through elected Republicans at every level of government. Very classy, I thought, as usual, from a guy I think we both agree is an extraordinary person. I want to bring you to some other things, and I want you to comment on that, but some other things that Republicans are pointing to. Sidney Powell has a lot of respect. She came out in legal circles. She came out and said, I'm going to look at the 450,000 ballots found with only Biden's name checked. She goes, I'm also going to examine the software from Hammer and Scorecard that could be used to flip votes from Trump to Biden. Do you want to talk about that?
Well, first of all, I'm interested in the first one because there will be undervotes. That is to say, we will have people who came into this election who said, I'm only voting for, I'm here to get Trump out. I'm voting for Biden and walking away. That's normal. I don't know how many there are of those. 450,000 sounds like a lot, particularly if it's in one state. But there are people who just walk in and say, I'm here for one reason and one reason only, and bang, I'm out of here. Particularly if your state, and very few states allow straight party voting, so you have to sort of pick your way down the ballot. But I'd be interested to learn more about that. The software, look, there are software problems. Atrium County, Michigan, which is a Republican county, discovered that there was a bug in the software, and I'm confident the moment they discovered that there was a bug, everybody who was using that software jumped on top of it to see if they had a similar problem emerge in their count. This happens as we move into the electronic age. There was a problem in software in 2000 in New Mexico that if you voted for this, they had straight party voting then. If you hit the Republican or Democratic box and then voted underneath, if you'd hit the Republican box for Bush or the Democratic box for Gore, it kicked out your ballot. And it literally was discovered after the election when Chavez County, Roswell, New Mexico, home of the alien visit, redid their retabulation as required under state law and discovered the problem. And Bush went from losing the state by something like 2,000 votes to losing it by 1,000 votes. And there were 16 other counties that used that software. But by the time they discovered the bug, it was too late. So there were those Bush carried 15 of those 16 other counties. So, but remember, when it comes to software, most counties in this country are red counties. So if you have widely used software and there's a problem like Atrium County, it was discovered in a Republican county, and I'm confident was immediately shared throughout all of their users, and their results were examined.